I've lived my entire life in the shadow of my half-sister. When I was to be granted the title of County Princess for my contributions to epidemic control, my half-sister wept, saying she envied me. My own blood brother immediately petitioned the emperor, accusing me of stealing my half-sister's credit. In the end, she was granted the title instead, while I nearly faced execution by beating for deceiving the throne. After I married the heir apparent and we became deeply devoted to each other. My half-sister claimed she had loved him for years and I had stolen him from her, then drowned herself in a lake. The crown prince immediately divorced me and married my stepsister instead. My family, ashamed of me, sent me to a nunnery, yet my stepsister still wouldn't let me be. She poisoned me. As I lay dying, my own birth mother shielded my stepsister behind her. Were you planning to give that poisoned tea to your sister? Luckily she wasn't fooled. You're truly wicked. I died in agony right before my mother's eyes. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day the emperor intended to confer upon me the title of County Princess. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now the story begins. After merely kneeling in the prayer hall for 3 days and nights, my sister refuses to continue, lying on the ground to slack off. No wonder I've been feeling worse these past few days. So you weren't sincerely praying for my well-being. The moment I opened my eyes, I heard my stepsister Sheng Liana weakly accusing me with her delicate voice. The next moment, my own elder brother Sheng Huaizhu slapped me across the face. This is beyond cruel. Sheng Wushuang, how could I have such a heartless sister like you? I had knelt for 3 days and nights without a drop of water, already at the end of my strength. His vicious slap sent my ears ringing. Blood trickling from the corner of my mouth as I crashed to the ground with a thud, unable to get up. Yet Sheng Huaizhu didn't even glance at me, completely focused on comforting Sheng Liana. Liana, she shows no remorse. Let me teach her a lesson for you. Don't cry anymore, or you'll hurt your eyes. It pains me to see you like this. My birth mother also frowned at me. Do you admit your guilt? Admit guilt? What guilt? On my 11th birthday banquet. Sheng Liana contracted a strange illness after being violated. Whenever she fell ill, I had to kneel in prayer halls and temples, copying scriptures to pray for her recovery. Only then would her condition improve. She had someone hide hundreds of needles in the kneeling cushion, nearly crippling my legs. She drugged beggars and threw them into the prayer hall, attempting to ruin my virtue. She forbade the servants from bringing me water or food. Even locked the door of the small prayer room. I nearly died of thirst and starvation. Such incidents kept happening endlessly. I complained to my family, but they thought I was just making excuses to avoid praying for Sheng Liana, believing I wanted to shirk my duties. Not only did they not blame Sheng Liana, they even helped her bully me. In my previous life, Qingyuan Prefecture first suffered floods and then a major epidemic, resulting in hundreds of casualties, with signs of spreading. I pored over medical texts for nearly half a month, forgetting to eat and sleep, before finally finding an ancient prescription for the epidemic. After confirming its effectiveness through trials, I presented the ancient prescription. The emperor, pleased with my achievements in combating the epidemic, was overjoyed and intended to bestow upon me the title of Junzhu, princess. Upon hearing this, Sheng Liana, with reddened eyes, tearfully lamented. I was born a concubine's daughter, of lowly status, always overshadowed by my younger sister. Now that she is to become a Junzhu, her status will be even more exalted. Why does my sister, who has committed countless wicked deeds and has a malicious heart, enjoy such good fortune? Heartbroken for Sheng Liana, Sheng Huaizhu immediately exposed my crimes to the emperor. He said Sheng Liana had toiled heart and soul to find the cure for the plague, only for me to steal it and present it to the emperor, a crime utterly unforgivable. The emperor, enraged, bestowed upon Sheng Liana the title of Junzhu, a noble rank for women. As for me, charged with deceiving the sovereign, I received 50 lashes and nearly lost my life. Completely disillusioned with my family, I began to pin my hopes on marriage. Once I'm married, I'll escape this den of demons. Later, I married Qin Lang, the Prince of Qin's heir, with whom I shared mutual affection. Our marriage was genuinely sweet for a time, but Sheng Liana claimed she had long admired the heir and that I had stolen her beloved. If I hadn't suffered that incident and remained pure, It wouldn't have been your turn to become the heir's consort. Since I can't marry such an ideal husband as the heir, I might as well die." Sheng Liana ran off weeping to drown herself in the lake. Qin Lang personally went into the lake to save her, and even vowed to take her as his second wife. I refused. He accused me of being cold-hearted and unfeeling, conspired with my family to frame me for adultery, divorced me, and married Sheng Liana. Later, my family sent me to a nunnery. Sheng Liana poisoned me under the guise of visiting me. As I lay on the ground bleeding from all 7 orifices, my mother actually sided with the murderer, accusing me of wicked intentions, claiming I had tried to poison Sheng Liana but mistakenly drank from the wrong cup, calling it nothing but poetic justice. My family declared me utterly wicked, and as a widow, unworthy of burial in the ancestral grave, leaving my body exposed in the wilderness. Wild beasts devoured my corpse, leaving only bleached bones behind, and my soul followed Sheng Liana, listening to her conversation with her trusted maid. Only then did I realize, back then, she had an illicit affair with the family's coachman and was caught. Fearing the ruin of her reputation, she lied about being violated. She wasn't ill either. The so-called prayers for blessings were merely to torment and humiliate me. I hated her, but even more, I hated my family and Qin Lang for their shameless favoritism toward her. Fortunately, heaven has given me a second chance. This time, everything is still within reach. Sheng Huaizhu and my mother were about to continue punishing me, but someone from the palace came to announce an imperial decree, so they had to let me go. Mother affectionately took Sheng Liana out with her. Sheng Huaizhu walked a few steps away before turning back to help me up. "Hitting you makes me feel terrible too, but Wu Shuang, you've gone too far." Liana's purity was ruined. She contracted a vile disease. She's suffered so much. You should be sincerely praying for her, not lying on the ground being lazy. Brother, try going without food or water for 3 days and nights. Then see if you still have the strength to get up. My throat was painfully dry. Each word I spoke felt like knives cutting through it. Sheng Huaizhu merely looked at me with utter disappointment. Lying has become second nature to you, incorrigible despite repeated warnings. The maids and matrons guarding you bear you no grudge. What reason would they have to target you? He released me and stormed away in anger. My legs ached and lacked strength, causing me to collapse heavily to the ground with a loud thud. Yet he didn't even glance back. He even asked the servants why they were targeting me. Neither he nor my mother treated me as a human being, so the servants simply followed their example and bullied me just like they did. In the end, it was the maid Fuya who came running over, her eyes red as she helped me up to receive the imperial decree. Just like in my previous life, when the emperor granted me the title of Princess Anping. Sheng Liana merely cried and said she envied me. While Sheng Huaizhu immediately went to the palace, I wrote a letter and took a token, sending Fuyu up the mountain with them. No sooner had Fuyu left than I was taken by the imperial guards to the emperor's study. Having knelt for 3 days and nights without a drop of water or a grain of rice, my legs ached and I had no strength, so I was supported the entire way. The emperor frowned at the sight of me. "Is Miss Sheng unwell?" he asked. Sheng Huaizhu said, "Your Majesty, don't be fooled by her. Every time she makes a mistake, she plays the victim to gain sympathy. In truth, she's perfectly healthy. There's nothing wrong with her at all." The emperor frowned with displeasure and asked me, "Your elder brother claims that the ancient prescription for curing the plague was discovered by your stepsister, yet you stole the credit for it. Do you admit to this crime?" I knelt on the ground and replied, "This subject has not done such a thing, and thus cannot admit to it." Hearing this, Sheng Huaizhu angrily retorted, "How dare you, Wu Shuang? Your habitual lies and stealing of Liana's poems and paintings were bad enough, but now, in front of His Majesty, you still spew falsehoods. Are you attempting to deceive the emperor? But those paintings and poems were originally mine." It was Sheng Liana who claimed her reputation was ruined, saying that with talents like mine, she could at least gain some good reputation and wouldn't be mocked everywhere. So my parents, Sheng Huaizhu, decided to give all my works to her. I cried out in grief and indignation. That ancient prescription for curing the plague was originally, wretched creature. My mother, dressed in the official robes of a first-rank titled lady, stormed in and kicked me square in the back. I fell face first onto the ice-cold floor, unable to get up for quite some time. Even the emperor couldn't help but frown at the sight. Lady Sheng, isn't this treatment of your daughter somewhat excessive? My daughter has been utterly disgraceful. We've spoiled her too much at home. That's why she's become so lawless, daring to speak nonsense before your majesty and even claiming her sister's merits as her own. I beg your majesty to spare her life, considering her youth and ignorance. My mother knelt on the ground, seemingly pleading for mercy on my behalf. Yet in doing so, she confirmed my crime of deceiving the emperor. Sheng Huizhu also stepped forward and scolded, "Why aren't you kowtowing to thank his majesty? Just as in my past life, he positioned himself in front of me, attempting to prevent me from defending myself. But in this lifetime, I won't let them manipulate me anymore." Struggling to my feet, I cried out through tears, "Your Majesty, I've been wronged. My mother and brother conspired against me to steal my title of princess for my half-sister. I beg your Majesty to investigate and clear my name. What my mother and Sheng Huizhu have done goes far beyond deceiving the emperor. They've shown utter contempt for your Majesty's authority." The emperor was furious and immediately summoned the second prince, ordering him to jointly investigate the case with the Dali temple. Before the emperor could even finish speaking, I couldn't hold on any longer and fainted. Nightmares came one after another. I woke up in fright. A full day had already passed. A strange maid fed me some medicine, served me some food, and then took me to the Dali temple. The second prince presided over the trial, with the Minister of Justice, the chief of the Dali temple, and the censor-in-chief assisting. When I arrived, my parents, Sheng Huizhu, and my fiancée Qin Lang were all gathered around comforting Sheng Liana. Even when they saw me, not a single person acknowledged me. At most, they looked at me with disgust. The second prince slammed the gavel. "Sheng Wushuang, Sheng Liana, since both of you claim to have discovered the ancient prescription for curing the epidemic, then each of you recite it now." I recited it smoothly, without missing a single word. Sheng Liana, however, couldn't utter a single word, her eyes turning red with frustration. Seeing this, the mother said with heartache, "Second prince, since Liana encountered those villains, she's been suffering from a severe illness and her memory has been poor, but Wushuang never forgets anything she sees, so she memorized the ancient prescription when she stole it. This doesn't prove anything." Sheng Liana clutched her chest and said weakly, "I think I'm having another episode. My chest hurts, and my head aches terribly." Sheng Huizhu was frantic with worry. "Liana, try to bear with it a little longer." He turned and scolded me sharply, "Look how much you've already hurt Liana. What more do you want? Must you throw the entire household into chaos before you're satisfied? Admit your guilt, accept your punishment, and go back to pray for Liana's recovery at once." Even Qin Lang, who had always been close to me, unusually warned me, "Admit your guilt obediently, and I, the heir, may not call off the engagement." They were all threatening me, yet they were supposed to be my birth mother. My own brother, my betrothed. Suppressing the bitterness and fury in my heart, I enunciated each word clearly. The ancient prescription was found by me in the first place. What crime have I committed? Hearing this, Sheng Liana rushed over with tear-filled eyes and raised her hand to strike me. I wanted to dodge, but I was unwell, barely able to get out of bed, and my legs trembled with every step. There was no way I could avoid it. Sheng Liana slapped me hard across the face, sobbing bitterly. "Sheng Wushuang, how much longer must you torment me? You ruined my innocence at your 11th birthday banquet, leaving me afflicted with a vile disease. Yet I never blamed you. I endured all your humiliations and slander as you schemed to destroy my reputation. But when I exhausted myself day and night studying medical texts to save the suffering people, finally discovering an ancient cure for the plague, why must you steal even this from me?" Sheng Liana stood with her back to the crowd, yet her gaze toward me was filled with disdain and arrogance. She thought she would easily defeat me, just as she had all those years before. But before her words could settle, the Empress Dowager entered, supported by attendants, her presence commanding even without anger. "How dare you, Sheng Liana, explain to me, how did the ancient plague remedy, discovered under my very eyes by the second daughter of the general's household while accompanying me in Buddhist devotions for half a month, suddenly become yours?" Upon seeing the Empress Dowager, everyone quickly rose to pay their respects. Sheng Liana was thoroughly frightened, and my parents, Sheng Huaizhu and Qin Lang, also looked extremely uncomfortable. The Empress Dowager ignored them completely, walking straight to me, helping me up, and seating me. Her gentleness toward me was matched only by the icy sternness with which she turned to Sheng Liana. "This dowager is asking you a question. Are you deaf or mute?" Sheng Liana stammered for ages without getting a word out, her body swaying unsteadily. I tugged at the Empress Dowager's sleeve. "Your Majesty, Sheng Liana is about to fake a faint." Sheng Liana wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. Whenever she couldn't think of an excuse, this was her go-to move. Sheng Huaizhu and Qin Lang, my parents, were very dissatisfied with my wording and wanted to interrupt. The Empress Dowager raised her hand, and the nanny stepped forward, slapping each of them. When the Empress Dowager is questioning, who are you to interrupt? If you dare speak out of turn again without being asked, you won't need your mouths anymore. Sheng Liana's feigned fainting was useless, even if Sheng Huaizhu took all the blame, claiming that my father, mother, and Qin Lang were all deceived by him and unaware of the truth. But the truth is, Sheng Liana deceived the emperor, attempting to steal credit for my epidemic control efforts. The crime of deceiving the sovereign warrants death, but the Empress Dowager, considering my father and Sheng Huaizhu's outstanding military merits, only demoted Sheng Huaizhu by 1 rank and sentenced him to 50 cane strikes. Sheng Liana was to receive 20 slaps and 50 cane strikes. As for whether they live or die, that depends on their own fate. Sheng Liana was still pretending to faint, so the Empress Dowager directly ordered 2 matrons to drag her out. She had been delicate and frail since childhood, utterly incapable of enduring hardship. With the first slap, she could no longer keep up the act, screaming and crying. Sheng Huaizhu was beaten to a bloody pulp, his mouth gagged, completely unable to help her, watching her children being beaten. Their mother wept until she fainted on the spot. Qin Lang watched Sheng Liana crying and shouting, his heart aching unbearably. He came to me indignantly. "Liana is delicate and frail. How could she endure such suffering? Go plead with the Empress Dowager for mercy right now." I refused. "That's the crime of deceiving the sovereign. Do you think anyone's plea would work?" Without hesitation, Qin Lang said, "But you made great contributions in combating the epidemic. If you exchange your position as the county princess to spare Liana from punishment, the Empress Dowager will surely agree." Smack! I was so furious that I slapped him across the face. Shameless, to ask me to give up my own reward and help someone who's been bullying me at every turn. How could he have the nerve to say such a thing? With a dark expression, I turned to leave, but Qin Lang grabbed hold of me. He warned coldly, "Sheng Wushuang, if you don't go plead for Liana today, I'll personally come to break off our engagement." We met during the Lantern Festival's Lantern Fair. He fell for me at first sight. After learning my identity, he sent matchmakers to propose marriage at my home. My family ignored me, but the young man's love was passionate and sincere, making my heart race. We quickly fell deeply in love. He once said he would marry no one but me. Yet now, for my sake, Sheng Liana, he treats me with such cruelty. I truly cannot understand. Qin Lang, you said even if everyone favored Sheng Liana, you would always stand by my side. Why must you too betray me? A flicker of remorse flashed through Qin Lang's eyes, but it was quickly replaced by cold indifference. I only recently found out that Liana was my savior, Wushuang. As long as you listen to Liana from now on and stop opposing her, I will marry you. I forcefully shook him off. You heartless, faithless scoundrel. Do you really think you're some prized catch? You're welcome to break off the engagement anytime, but as for asking me to plead for Sheng Liana, keep dreaming. Qin Lang still tried to pester me, but the Empress Dowager sent her personal maid to summon me. I boarded the carriage and entered the palace under the maid's escort. Because I was often sent to the mountain temple to pray for blessings, I unexpectedly became acquainted with the Empress Dowager. Once, when she was bitten by a venomous snake, I saved her. After that, the Empress Dowager treated me like her own granddaughter. In my past life, I was too concerned about family ties, worried that my mother, Sheng Huaizhu, would be punished for deceiving the emperor, and in the end, I never sought help from the Empress Dowager. But my heart aches for them, yet no one cares for me. Even when I was poisoned by Sheng Liana, my mother could stand by coldly and blame me. They've bullied, humiliated, and harmed me like this, I won't endure them any longer in this lifetime. The Empress Dowager, fearing I might be mistreated if I returned to the general's residence, had me recuperate in the palace instead. I heard Sheng Huaizhu was beaten half to death and couldn't even get out of bed. My mother committed suicide to pressure my grandfather into using the ancestral pardon token to plead for Sheng Liana. In the end, she only received 10 slaps across the face, narrowly escaping with her life. I thought this incident would keep them quiet for a few days at least. Yet barely 5 days had passed when my mother personally came to the palace to seek me out. Mother said Sheng Liana was having an episode and demanded I return home immediately to kneel in the family prayer room and pray for her. I refused coldly. My knees are injured, and my qi and blood are both depleted. I won't go. Mother flew into a rage. Your little injury won't kill you. But your stepsister is unwell. She's even eaten 1 less bowl of rice, knowing she's ill. You refuse to pray for her. Do you want to watch her die with your own eyes? If my prayers are what stand between her and death, then let her die. You, Sheng Wushuang, how dare you defy me? Mother raised her hand to strike me, but I blocked it. In the past, I never resisted because I saw her as my mother. But she didn't know, in my previous life, I never received her maternal love until the day I died, and I had already lost all hope in her. The Empress Dowager rushed over upon hearing the news and only spoke after seeing I was unharmed. A strange illness that can only be alleviated by the blessings of one's own sister. I've never heard of such a thing. Since that's the case, I'll take a few imperial physicians to see that illegitimate daughter. Wushuang, you come too. Hearing that the Empress Dowager would bring imperial physicians to treat Sheng Liana, my mother beamed with joy and didn't even bother to argue with me anymore. The entourage set off grandly for the general's residence. Sheng Huaizhu, still burning with fever and covered in wounds, couldn't even get out of bed, but he was worried about Sheng Liana's condition and had people carry him over. Sheng Huaizhu, noticing my poor complexion, spoke more gently than usual. Liana fell ill because of you. If the imperial physician can cure her, we'll consider the matter settled between you. Your sisters, there's no need for such malice toward her. I asked him, what if elder sister has been feigning illness all these years just to torment me? What would you do then? At this, the last trace of gentleness vanished from Sheng Huaizhu's face. How could someone as kind and innocent as Liana pretend to be ill? You're slandering her again, utterly incorrigible. He was deeply disappointed in me and quickly had his servants carry him away. In the past, I might have been heartbroken by his favoritism towards Sheng Liana, but having died once, I long ago abandoned any hope in him. Tucking a stray lock of hair behind my ear, I entered Sheng Liana's courtyard. Sheng Liana was terrified when she heard the Empress Dowager had brought imperial physicians to examine her, and she tried every excuse to refuse, but it was no use. The Empress Dowager, annoyed by her protests, simply ordered 2 matrons to hold her down. At first, her mother was delighted that 3 imperial physicians had come, but then, Your Majesty, the eldest Miss Sheng shows no signs of illness. Miss Sheng's constitution is far more robust than most women. Eldest Miss Sheng merely has some facial swelling, with no other ailments. I turned to Sheng Liana. The imperial physician's diagnosis couldn't possibly be wrong. So all these years when my half-sister claimed to be ill and made me pray for her recovery, she was just playing me for a fool. The Empress Dowager remarked, such a woman is truly vicious beyond measure. Mother's expression darkened, yet she still defended Sheng Liana. Wushuang, Liana, it's only natural for her to resent and seek revenge against you after you ruined her chastity. Sheng Huaizhu lay on the nearby couch, his face filled with shock. Unusually silent without speaking up for Sheng Liana, I looked at Mother. Are you certain that Sheng Liana's chastity was ruined because of me? The Empress Dowager had already lost patience. Enough of this nonsense. Matron Zhong, bring the person in. Before entering the general's residence, the Empress Dowager had already instructed the matron to apprehend someone on my behalf. Yes, Matron Zhong clapped her hands twice. The next moment, Yurong, Sheng Liana's personal maid, was brought in and thrown to the ground. It was unclear what Yurong had endured. Her face was deathly pale, and she carried the stench of urine about her. She got up from the ground and began to confess through her tears. This servant will confess. This servant will confess everything. The young mistress had her first awakening of love and fell for the groom Liu Da. They secretly exchanged vows and conceived a child in secret, during the second young mistress's 11th birthday banquet. Their affair was discovered. Fearing punishment from the general, the young mistress claimed Liu Da had assaulted her. After the general beat Liu Da to death, the young mistress grew to hate the second young mistress. She thought if it weren't for the second young miss bringing people to find her, she and Liu Da wouldn't have been caught, and Liu Da wouldn't have had to die, so the young miss deliberately pretended to be ill, making the second young miss go to the Buddhist hall to pray for her, and intentionally had me place needles in the kneeling cushion, forbidding the servants to give her food or drink. Yu Rong revealed all the vile things Sheng Liana had done to me. Besides her, several maids and old women from Sheng Liana's courtyard who knew the truth were also brought in to testify that what she said was true. This time, Mother completely fell silent, only casting uneasy glances at me repeatedly. Sheng Huaizhu realized he had been deceived and was so furious that he spat out a mouthful of blood. When he looked at me, his eyes were filled with guilt. Meanwhile, Sheng Liana was so terrified that all color drained from her face, and she could do nothing but cry incessantly. The Empress Dowager was in no hurry to deal with her. As it was noon, she instructed my mother to prepare a luncheon. After many years, I was finally granted the privilege of dining at the table again. The Empress Dowager had me sit beside her and instructed Sheng Liana to serve me dishes. The Empress Dowager said to me, "Sheng Liana's appearance is as crude and unsightly as her schemes. With such despicable tricks, she's managed to suppress you for so many years." I curled my lips slightly. Someone as perceptive as your Majesty can naturally see through her ploys at a glance, but those around me are blind and foolish. She only needs to spin a few lies and splash some mud on me, and my own family would practically drive me to my death. The Empress Dowager held my hand, comforting me for a while before asking, "You are now the peaceful county princess. For Sheng Liana to treat you this way is an act of insubordination. She ought to be punished. How would you like to deal with her?" Sheng Liana so enjoys making people kneel before Buddha statues to pray for blessings. Then send her to Huangjue Temple and let her copy Buddhist scriptures daily to pray for the common people, I said. The Empress Dowager nodded, approved. Mother cried out, "No, Your Majesty, Liana Shi." Matron Zhong stepped forward and slapped her. "Who do you think you are, daring to question Her Majesty?" Tears streamed down Mother's face as she dared not speak another word. The Empress Dowager didn't even glance at her, addressing me with pity instead. "Your household is filled with nothing but wolves and tigers. Pack your things, from now on you shall stay with me. Are you willing?" Mother shook her head at me frantically, showing such rare concern for my welfare. Sheng Huaizhu also gazed at me with pleading eyes, willing me to refuse, but without hesitation, I knelt on the ground and kowtowed to the Empress Dowager. "Thank you, Your Majesty. Why would I stay in this den of demons when I could follow the Empress Dowager?" Sheng Liana was dragged away, wailing and screaming, to be sent to Huangjue Temple that very day. As for me, I called for Fuya to gather my belongings from my courtyard. My father favored his concubine over his lawful wife, doting only on Sheng Liana, the daughter born to his mistress. After the mistress died, my father became even more indulgent toward Sheng Liana. To win my father's favor, my mother also devoted herself entirely to Sheng Liana, even making Sheng Huaizhu join her in pampering the girl. They resembled a perfect family of four, while I remained the superfluous one. Not to mention gold, silver, jewels, or fine silks. There was a time when I couldn't even eat my fill. When the table in the courtyard broke, we had to prop it up with stones. I owned little property, so there was hardly anything to pack. I gathered the few clothes I had and prepared to leave. Yet Sheng Huaizhu and my mother, who had always treated me coldly, blocked my path. Sheng Huaizhu said in a panic, "I'm sorry, Wu Shuang. I was deceived by Sheng Liana, thinking you were always bullying her. I was wrong. I'll make it up to you properly from now on. Please don't leave." "Okay," Mother said awkwardly. "I was wrong before. I shouldn't have believed everything your sister said. But Liana is still your blood sister after all. If you send her to Huangjue Temple, her whole life will be ruined, and the general will blame me too, Wu Shuang. You must think more about your family when you act. You can't be so selfish." I've heard these biased words from her too many times, they no longer affect me. But Sheng Huaizhu erupted. Mother, Wu Shuang has suffered so much at Sheng Liana's hands, and instead of thinking how to make it up to Wu Shuang, you're actually pleading for the abuser. Are you even human? Wu Shuang is your own flesh and blood, having been weakened by 50 lashes. He was now overwhelmed with rage and spat out a mouthful of blood before fainting. Mother was terrified. Wu Shuang, your elder brother has fainted. Go fetch the imperial physician at once. Go fetch him yourself. I pushed her aside and walked away without even glancing at Sheng Huaizhu, just as he had once done to me. Mother's eyes reddened with urgency. He is your elder brother, how can you be so cruel to him? Why shouldn't I be, as your daughter? Inheriting your cruelty seems perfectly natural, doesn't it? Without pausing, I took Fuya and left to find the Empress Dowager. Following her back to the palace, during my brief half-month stay in the palace, Sheng Huaizhu sent servants to deliver letters to various households. The letters confessed that he had been momentarily bewitched into lying for Sheng Liana, claiming those poems and paintings were actually his own creations. He further accused Sheng Liana of shamelessness, alleging she had engaged in an illicit affair with the family's stableman and even seduced her future brother-in-law Qin Lang. This scandal caused an uproar in the capital, drawing widespread condemnation against Sheng Liana, with the general's mansion also facing public scorn. Because of this matter, Sheng Huaizhu had a serious falling out with his father and mother. In the general's residence, quarrels broke out every other day. Sheng Huaizhu resented his parents for being too partial to Sheng Liana. Unable to distinguish right from wrong, he severed ties with his family and moved out directly. I treated all this as a joke and didn't take it to heart. My mother, Sheng Huaizhu, and Qin Lang tried to visit me in the palace several times, but the Empress Dowager turned them away on my behalf. However, I didn't stay in the palace for long. The Empress Dowager preferred tranquility. The noble families who wanted me to treat their illnesses kept pleading before her, which annoyed her. The Empress Dowager gave me a golden token that allowed me to enter and leave the palace at will, bestowed upon me a mansion, and sent some maids, elderly servants, and guards before sending me away. Just before I left, the Empress Dowager instructed me, as both a princess and the successor to the medical sage, it's only natural for you to be a bit domineering. Don't go around acting like a doormat, it doesn't suit your status. If you encounter someone you can't handle, bring the golden token to the palace and find me. I'll settle it for you. Thank you, Empress Dowager. I knelt in gratitude, then took the golden token and departed. Becoming the heir of the divine physician was an accident. When I was 6, the general's family went on a spring outing, just because a few ladies and young misses praised my looks but didn't compliment Sheng Liana. She grew jealous and pushed me off a cliff, only for me to land right on the divine physician's head. The divine physician decided fate had brought us together and taught me his medical arts. If it weren't for his protection, I would have died long ago. Many noble families knew of my identity as the successor of the divine physician and sought to befriend me. Even if the Empress Dowager wouldn't help me, they could have helped me escape the general's residence and Qin Lang. It's just a pity that in my past life, I was bound by so-called familial love and romance, always waiting for them to come to their senses only to meet my own tragic end instead. In this lifetime, I won't be foolish anymore. After I moved into the new mansion, Sheng Huaizhu sent his servant to deliver letters to me every day, along with rare treasures, rouge and powder, jewelry and clothes, most of which were things girls would adore. The servant said to me, "Second young miss. The young general truly regrets misunderstanding you before. He's just too severely injured to leave his bed, otherwise he would have come to apologize in person. Moreover, the young general is determined to make amends. He's nearly emptied his family coffers to send you these gifts. Please forgive him." All the gifts Sheng Huaizhu gave me, I sold for silver, then had Fuya set up shelters to distribute porridge and do good deeds. Those letters, I burned them all in front of the servant boy. Tell your young general, I've accepted the gifts, they were his debt to me anyway. But the wrongs he committed against me, I'll never forgive. Mother came looking for me too, her face still bearing fresh slap marks. She knelt on the ground, weeping and pleading, "Wu Shuang, why didn't you tell me you're the successor of the divine physician? It was all my fault before. I shouldn't have doted only on your stepsister and neglected you. But I was deceived by her. Come back with me. I'll treat you well from now on. A young lady shouldn't live outside alone, becoming a laughingstock for others. I had told my family I was the successor of the divine physician, but they were convinced I was lying to win favor. Mother even slapped me across the face. I didn't argue with her about it, only finding her utterly ridiculous. Did father send you here? Mother averted her gaze. He's just concerned about you. Concerned? But it's only because I'm now a noblewoman and the heir to the medical sage, finally possessing some value, and because the reputation of the general's manor mistreating its legitimate daughter has become too unsightly, that they're calling me back. Truth be told, I couldn't care less about father's attitude. He loved his concubine, so it was easy to understand why he loved Sheng Liana, the child she bore. What hurt me most was my mother, I said coldly. Can you and father really not see through my half-sister's little tricks? No, father doesn't expose them because he dotes on her. And you, mother, to please father, not only let it slide but even helped her deceive my brother. For the sake of your love, you willingly sacrificed me and my brother. It was her reaction upon learning the truth that made me realize something was amiss. Her surprise seemed feigned. She defended Sheng Liana as always. In her eyes, my joys and sorrows, even my life, paled in comparison to her love. Mother frantically grabbed my sleeve. No, Wu Shuang, your mother loves your father, but she loves you too. Come home with me. Give me a chance to be good to you. All right, not all right at all. I pried open my mother's fingers. Get out. If you ever come looking for me again, I'll expose all the disgusting things you've done. Mother's face turned pale, with tears streaming down her face. She walked away, glancing back every few steps. I was already fed up dealing with her and Sheng Huaizhu, and to make matters worse, Qin Lang came looking for me about Sheng Liana. With a cold expression, he demanded, were you the one who put needles in Liana's kneeling cushion and had her locked up without food or water? I didn't intend to hide it, nodding, yes. How could you be so vicious? Vicious? Haven't you heard about all the things Sheng Liana did to me? I'm just giving her a taste of her own medicine. How is that vicious? I haven't even pushed her off a cliff, nor have I asked any man to do such vile things to her. Qin Lang also knew he was in the wrong, and for once, he took the trouble to explain a few more words to me. I know Liana has wronged you, but she saved my life. I can't just stand by and watch you bully her. Bring her back from Huangjue Temple immediately, or this heir will break off the engagement and never marry you. This was the second time he had threatened me with this matter. I found it laughable. Sure, go ahead and break it off. Just because Sheng Liana once saved his life, why should I tolerate her bullying me? He's far too full of himself. Do you think this young master doesn't dare? You're already 18 if you get jilted at this age. Your reputation will be ruined and no one will marry you. Don't come crying to me later. Qin Lang treated me poorly and left in anger. That very afternoon, he made a grand show of coming to break off our engagement. I didn't try to stop him, returning both the betrothal token and my birth chart. Qin Lang was still waiting for me to change my mind. Ever since the day he broke off our engagement, matchmakers have been coming in an endless stream, all sent by noble families. When the Empress Dowager learned of this, she even left the palace specifically to ask me, among the several eligible princes now, is there one you fancy? I can arrange the marriage for you. I replied to her openly. Please give me some time to think about it. Okay. The Empress Dowager left the portraits of the princes behind of the rod and sent back to the Qin residence. And after receiving 20 heavy strokes, Sheng Liana was dragged back to the Huangjue Temple. Qin Lang, grateful for Sheng Liana's life-saving kindness, went to great lengths to marry her even after she became lame. He never regretted it, even though it cost him his position as the heir. On the eve of his wedding to Sheng Liana, Qin Lang even came to see me specially. Sheng Wushuang, so many outstanding noble sons and even princes have sought your hand in marriage, yet you refused them all. Could it be that you still can't forget me? I originally intended to marry you, but you're too vicious. If you hadn't refused to save Liana, she wouldn't have ended up disabled. Tomorrow I'm marrying Liana. With your viper's heart, I wouldn't even take you as a concubine. Splash. I called Fuyu to bring a bucket of slops and poured it all over Qin Lang. I said with disgust, young master, no, you're no longer the young master now, Qin Lang.
Are you spouting all this nonsense because you're not in your right mind? Let me help you sober up. No need to thank me. Who would miss him? I'm about to vomit my lunch. I wanted to have someone drive Qin Lang away, but he was so emotional, gripping me tightly and refusing to let go. During the struggle, my jade pendant fell to the ground. Qin Lang picked up the pendant and froze. How did this pendant end up with you? I snatched it back. This was left to me by my grandmother. If it's not with me, then who else should have it? Qin Lang blurted out. When you were 8 years old, did you ever go to the foot of Chishan Cliff? How do you know? Actually, it wasn't just that year when I was 8. Starting from age 6, my master often took me to the base of the cliff for lessons, because there were many medicinal herbs growing there, and my master wanted to teach me about the different growing environments of various herbs. When I was 8 years old, I once saved a little boy who had accidentally fallen off a cliff while visiting my master. Thinking of this, I found it absurd. Qin Lang, don't tell me the little boy I saved back then was you, and you've mistaken your savior. Qin Lang remained silent, but his eyes were bloodshot, and emotions like shock, guilt, and regret flickered across his face. Just by looking at his reaction, I knew I had guessed right. Qin Lang said in pain and unease, so you were the one who saved my life. It was all Sheng Liana who deceived me. She claimed to be my savior, and that's why he couldn't even bring himself to speak of the things he had done. With reddened eyes, he said, I'm sorry, Wu Shuang, I was fooled by her. The truth is, I've always loved you. I only felt gratitude toward her, nothing more. I want to make it up to you. I'll do anything you ask. You were always meant to be my wife, but you're too despicable. I wouldn't marry you even if you were the last man on earth. I had him thrown out, but Qin Lang had always been ruthless and unprincipled. The very next day, on what was supposed to be his wedding with Sheng Liana, he orchestrated a scheme, setting her up with 3 beggars. He publicly caught his bride in the act of adultery, then called off the marriage. Sheng Liana went mad on the spot. Meanwhile, Qin Lang, ignoring the wedding farce and still dressed in his red groom's attire, came to my residence to beg me to marry him. The incident caused a citywide scandal. My father, mortified by the disgrace, impeached Qin Lang several times. After losing his position as the heir, Qin Lang could no longer even hold an official post, yet he still refused to restrain himself, kneeling before my residence with a bundle of thorns to apologize, pouring out his endless affection for me. Sheng Huaizhu, seeing my disdain for Qin Lang, attacked him several times. Qin Lang deliberately aimed for his heart. Sheng Huaizhu, aren't you just jealous of me? I'm different from you. You never treated Wu Shuang well. She hates you and will never forgive you. But I only made a momentary mistake. We had feelings in the past, and she'll take me back. The more he spoke, the harder Sheng Huaizhu beat him. Shut up. A fickle-hearted man like you isn't worthy of my sister. Their farce was tiresome to watch. What disgusted me even more was that Qin Lang, seeing I refused to marry him, actually drugged me at the chrysanthemum banquet hosted by the Empress Dowager, attempting to force me into marriage through such means. But I still harbored resentment over being poisoned in my past life, and in this lifetime, I had studied numerous narcotics and poisons, remaining vigilant all along. The Empress Dowager was furious upon learning of this and exiled Qin Lang 3,000 miles away. At 19, I married the second prince who shared my interests. When I married, my mother and Sheng Huaizhu wanted to come, but I refused. I had my cousin from my uncle's family carry me out the door, and the family member seated in the place of honor was the Empress Dowager. It's a pity my master passed away 5 years ago, otherwise he could have sat here. As I boarded the bridal sedan, I saw Sheng Huaizhu hiding in the crowd with my mother, tears glistening in his eyes as he watched me. Later, Sheng Huaizhu would often sneak over to see me, bringing me gifts. After I gave birth to twins, he secretly came to see the 2 children, bringing them presents as well. In the 3rd year of my marriage, the deranged Sheng Liana suddenly regained her senses. Staring at her crippled legs and the 2 children she had borne, beggars' offspring, she swallowed gold and took her own life. In the 5th year of my marriage, my father, a general who favored concubines over his lawful wife, died on the battlefield. Upon learning of his death, my mother committed suicide for love. Sheng Huaizhu led troops to avenge his father and repelled the enemy forces, but he accidentally injured his leg, and I was the only one who could heal him. By the time I found out, the golden window for treatment had already passed. The once dashing young general would forever walk with a limp. My husband held our 2 children and asked me, "Do you feel regret for your brother?" I raised my hands toward the sun and smiled, to avenge Sheng Liana. My elder brother once crushed the bones of my right hand. After my hand healed, it appeared normal in daily life, But the injury remained. I could no longer wield Master's renowned 9-yang needle technique. Even if I wanted to treat my brother, I was powerless to do so. The seeds he sowed long ago destined this outcome. My husband set down our 2 children and held me in his arms, heartbroken. "You've suffered so much," he murmured. "It's all right, it's all in the past now," I smiled. Thinking back to my past life, it felt as distant as a nightmare now.